Professor Samuel Rabinowitz of the School of Business, Camden, as a Senate representative of the Board of Governors. Thank you for your service and welcome back. I would also like to introduce Dr. Adrian Simons of the School of Health Professions, who will serve as a Senate representative of the Board of Governors. Welcome. And then also like to introduce Sharif Adawaha as this year's student representative of the Board of Governors. Are you there? It's not here. Okay, we'll miss him anyway. At this point in time, I would like to turn it over to President Holloway. President Holloway will provide an update to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first month of our academic year is behind us, but there is good news to share in September, as we have sent out to the community the rankings for our three campuses, three undergraduate campuses, the best way to frame them, have improved. We've seen improvements in our data collection and our data management, and which has been a major source of these gains in the US News rankings. Every campus rose in the rankings. Special mention has New Brunswick moving into the top 20 among public universities. Newark ranked 7th in the country for social mobility, and Camden jumping 21 spots among national universities after being ranked for the first time in the national university pool last year. Now, with all the necessary caveats and in place, recognizing that I don't want to be captive to US News rankings, but understanding that so many people who are looking to the university as a potential home for themselves we need to be pragmatic about how we move forward in that regard. So I'm really quite pleased with this news, and we have more work to be done in this way. And I'm really convinced that we will be sharing more good news as we go forward. We are still living in the world of navigating a COVID pandemic endemic. We began September with a mask mandate for all classrooms, libraries, and clinical spaces. Last week, we announced that we would be removing that mandate everywhere except clinical spaces. At the end of September, 3 of our faculty unions filed a complaint with the state's Public Employment Relations Commission that temporarily reinstated the mandate in our libraries and is allowing individual faculty members to require masks in their classroom. PERC, the Relations Commission, will make a final decision we expect on Monday. We'll, of course, respect whatever the decision happens to be. Along with the COVID protocols, we've also removed the need to produce a vaccine card or negative test to attend indoor events. We've reduced our testing regimen and switched it from PCR testing to self-administered antigen tests for those who have waivers and still need to test. We've decided to close our vaccination locations. We still require full vaccination and a booster, but they are readily available in pharmacies, at clinics, and in doctors' offices. I want to take a moment to speak to an issue that has come up related to our faculty unions. There are several people peacefully sharing information outside of this room and are sitting in the public section of this room. With a number of them, I was handed by a colleague statements calling for equal pay for equal work, suggesting that it's not a complicated issue. At my university Senate address 2 Fridays ago, a question along the same lines was asked, and there was frustration that I suggested is more complicated than it seems, and I do feel that way, and I thought I would take a moment to explain some of the complication. I won't try to address every point, but one of the focus areas is a goal of treating our part-time lecturers the same as our full-time non-tenure track faculty, when in fact, non-tenure track faculty have different roles beyond the classroom, like service and administrative obligations. That is not equal work, no matter how important both roles are to the university, and they are both very important. Another is on the needs of all graduate students, which again, very important to our full functioning research enterprise. Another is on the issue of grad students, despite the fact that not all grad students are included in the union, only TAs and GAs are. So there's some nuance there that needs to be addressed. I've spoken publicly before about pay equity among faculty within and across campuses, and I've been clear when I've been unhappy with the process and its progress. But we have been executing the union agreed upon process with AAUP AFT and we have continued to work with AAUP AFT on reaching agreement on a refined process. This is a work in progress. We'll keep moving forward with those efforts. I will never suggest that there aren't ways to improve how we function as a university. I've always been clear about that. From my first day, I've made it a priority to get better. And there are real issues that need to be addressed in multiple areas of the university. We have work to do. But I hope that we can move beyond oversimplifying what in fact are complex issues that have important consequences as we go forward trying to secure contracts as soon as possible for all of our unions. I have full confidence in my team that my team will continue to act professionally and respectfully as they work to address them. Last week, I spoke at the Board of Trustees meeting about athletics. I talked about athletics being the front door of the university in the way that much of the country learns about Rutgers. I spoke about the Big Ten and its academic alliance and how they both are much bigger than they were when we joined, and bigger still as the West Coast universities join. On the Big Ten Academic Alliance front, I'm sure I'll be off by a little bit, but we're talking about $11.6 billion annual research entity. It's something we need to maintain our membership in. And I've also been open about as important as I regard athletics as the front door of the university, that athletics as an enterprise is dependent on the university from a financial standpoint, making it clear in my February financial address to the university that I do not expect athletics to turn a profit. I do think that we should acknowledge that athletics just finished the best year in its history on the field and in the classroom. Our multi-year academic progress rate, APR, is above the national average, with 11 of our programs earning perfect scores last year. Many of you know that some news outlets have been running a series of stories, another one appeared today, about the state of financing and behavior in the athletics department. Based on some of the stories that ran earlier in the summer, I believe, we launched an internal audit of our practices. As Mike Gow reported to the trustees last week, an audit of athletic spending showed that the vast majority of transactions were accurate and appropriate. However, there were some mistakes. Most were something as simple as not listing every person present during a meal on an itemized or providing an itemized receipt. There were a small number of mistakes that required more attention and intervention. Those have been remediated. Athletics implemented new policies and procedures, and all athletics personnel have been trained in these. It's important to note that given all of these types of transactions, it's important to note that the types of transactions that are being reviewed and inquired about, many of them happen across the university. Athletics isn't the only place where we need to ensure people are reporting every detail that is required. There is a level of unevenness in our practice that must be tightened up, and we'll do that. To help address that need, we are requiring refresher training for all employees with procurement cards. Athletics is and should be part of the Rutgers story. I know that there is a lot of dissatisfaction about the expenditure rate within athletics in the Big Ten. We're one of the lowest expenditure schools in the Big Ten, and that will remain that way, frankly. Without question, we need to make sure that we're vigilant and make sure that this is a front door, that is a front door that we are proud to open and walk in through, and that we should always be proud of the work that we're doing with athletics. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, President Holloway. At this time, I would like to first of all thank Chancellor Tillis for hosting us today, the Board of Governors. And at this time, I'll ask you to present your report to the board regarding Rutgers University, Camden.
Good afternoon, Chairman Bess, members of the board, and President Holloway. Welcome to Rutgers Camden. I'd also like to take a moment to greet my Rutgers University Camden faculty and staff colleagues for being here this afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to share updates on Rutgers Camden, the face of Rutgers in South Jersey. I'm now in my second year as Chancellor, and I'm still learning quite a bit about this great institution. One thing, however, that is abundantly clear: this campus is an impressive powerhouse that elevates the Rutgers brand every day in South Jersey and the Delaware Valley. And it is my honor to now share with you why. Together, Rutgers University Camden community has achieved a great deal during the past year. I am particularly happy with the new traditions we are establishing. Pictured here is a shot of the crowd of new and returning students who enjoyed our first ever fall convocation a month ago. Convocation was an amazing day with inspiring students who raised the roof with their performances and their energy. Here we see the Rutgers University Gospel Choir, and let me tell you, they truly brought the energy to the crowd. Our student speaker, Jacobed Arede, really showed everyone what Scarlet Pride looks like. She is from Nigeria, and she delivered a wonderful speech less than a day after returning to campus after an exhausting overseas flight. We launched other traditions as well. Last spring, we introduced Rites of Passage, where we celebrated our Black and Hispanic students and alumni. Also in the spring, we formally recognized our staff for milestone years of service to Rutgers Camden. 2 weeks ago, our nursing school held its first ever white coat ceremony to celebrate our Doctor of Nursing practice students. These are new traditions that will make our campus even stronger. There are many reasons why students choose Rutgers Camden. The power of the Rutgers brand is just one among the many. The world-class faculty, the experiential opportunities that they have, the emphasis on civic engagement, and also just the convivial way in which we live down here in South Jersey. Before you are our enrollment figures for the fall. While these numbers are not where we would like for them to be, we are working to make sure that we understand causes for the downward trends and create strategies to mitigate them. Last year, I shared with the deans and faculty colleagues the effect of the downward trend in undergraduate enrollment, principally due to the pandemic. While we are living with what we forecasted last year, we are in no way complacent. We are launching new academic programs. Several were approved by this board last year, and we are working to develop more. We are implementing strategies to recruit students internationally and from growing markets across the United States. More importantly, we are going to expand Rutgers Camden's reach in our own backyard. Transfer students are important to us, and we are working to strengthen our premier partnerships with Camden County College. I speak regularly with the new president of Camden County College, Dr. Lavelle Pugh Bassett, and she shares my view that our institutional partnership holds tremendous opportunity for all of our students. We are working to similarly enhance our relationship with all of the county colleges. Additionally, we are shoring up our recruitment effort in Camden and are showing up more predominantly across all of South Jersey. Related to our enrollment efforts, I would like to share comparative course scheduling data from fall 2021 and fall 2022. As this slide shows, approximately 11% of scheduled courses were canceled in 2021. This year, we're just 6% over, a little over 6% were canceled with fewer sections scheduled. I credit the planning efforts of our provost, our deans, our department chairs with the smart course scheduling strategy, which ensures that students will have needed courses to matriculate towards a timely graduation. As the president mentioned, I am pleased to report that for the third consecutive year, we continue to rise in national rankings. Shown here are our US News rankings. US News ranked us at 127 among national universities, a jump, as the president mentions, 21 points from 148 just last year. And among top public universities, our standing increased to 61, up from 67 last year and 71 the previous year. I'd also like to note that Washington Monthly ranked Rutgers Camden 20th in the nation in terms of providing social mobility opportunities. That number resonates well with me because helping our students succeed is at the very heart of why we are here. The photos here illustrate how we are advancing our students. These were taken during the launch of our Chancellor Summer Mayoral Internship Program, which provided summer employment opportunities for undergraduate and graduate students in City Hall. I was proud to introduce this initiative as part of our 15 and 5 program, which I announced early in the spring. Just a few weeks ago, Mayor Victor Karstoffen and I had lunch with those students and heard how this program has strengthened their career prospects, understanding now that there are opportunities in municipal government that they did not know about. Regarding 15 and 5, here's what we accomplished last year. I'm particularly pleased that we have begun our staff development program to help our staff keep their skills current and to share what they are learning with their colleagues. For this academic year, I am excited about the transformative potential of the initiatives that we will launch. For example, the Chancellor's Grant for Independent Student Research will amplify one of Rutgers Camden's greatest strengths, the opportunity for our students to work closely with world-class Rutgers research scholars. And the Chancellor's Research Grant for part-time lecturers, which will support our faculty colleagues who are not on a full-time line. The balance of these initiatives will launch next academic year. I'd like to call special attention to the Chancellor's Grant for Faculty Development in Administrative Roles. Too often, faculty members are placed in administrative roles without any administrative professional development. Speaking as a faculty member, I can attest that it can be a total culture shock. Thus, it is my goal to provide our faculty with the preparation needed to succeed as academic administrators. These initiatives will offer opportunities for external investment in Rutgers Camden, and we are eagerly pursuing those opportunities. We have many points of pride to support these efforts, including our success as a Carnegie classified R2 research institution. It has been said before, but it is worth repeating. Rutgers Camden faculty produce high-level research that is acknowledged nationally and internationally. Our faculty received 16% more grants during FY22 than in FY21. We are also applying for more grants than ever before. 84.1 million in grant proposal submissions, up 29% from 2021. So far in FY23, we have received 4 NSF grants totaling over $2 million. That's 4 highly competitive grants in the first quarter of this year alone, which means we're off to a great start. Similarly, we are showing success in terms of private donations. As an example, I am pleased to report that the Rutgers Camden Community Park, a city facility managed by Rutgers, soon will have new portable seating to accommodate the crowds who come out to watch our soccer and our softball teams play. This is due to a $400,000 gift from a generous donor who wishes to remain anonymous in their support of our Scarlet Raptors. Securing such gifts is vital to our future. We're building a culture of philanthropy here at Rutgers Camden. The Rutgers Foundation is collaborating more closely with our deans and our campus leaders to develop fundraising strategies and to find frequent opportunities to invite our alumni back to their alma mater. Of course, the biggest donor of our campus is the state of New Jersey. I think I may have gone too far. Yes, I did. We fared exceptionally well during the most recent budget cycle with a total appropriation exceeding $13 million to support our prioritized initiatives. These designated funds will allow us to strengthen opportunities for our students and our overall community. This level of support signals that Rutgers Camden is breaking through the noise such that our state leaders are better understanding and appreciating our value to South Jersey and to the entire state. Now we are, let's see. There we go. Our value proposition to the state stems from our commitment to innovation in learning experiences and research. It also resides in Rutgers Camden's role as a model for civically engaged scholarship, and we are a model for urban universities. We are active citizens in our city and state. The photo on the screen, go back. The photo on the screen shows members of our campus community who comprise the team of 24 Scarlet Raptors who helped Camden Mayor Karstoffen clean up a city park this past summer in July. This fall, we welcomed 8, let's see here. There we go. Mike, you said this would be simple. Let's see, it's not as simple as we thought. This fall, we welcomed 18, there we are, exceptional scholars and educators to Rutgers Camden faculty. We also welcomed inaugural cohorts of our new PhD and master's programs in prevention science and to our master's program in finance wealth management in our business school. We are enhancing our international international profile. I am committed to building stronger global connections for the benefit of our students, our faculty, and the state of New Jersey. We finally were able to celebrate 25 years of Rutgers Camden in South Africa. And let me tell you, it was something to behold, to know that our students over the past 25 years have been engaging this amazing space. So I look forward to elevating that to the form of international opportunities for student internships, as well as more MOUs with institutions in South Africa that align with our value propositions. Similarly, Rutgers Camden has embarked upon a partnership with La Universidad Nacional de Asunción, Paraguay. Ms. Paraguay is La UNA, Paraguay's leading institution. Our scholars have already been engaging with scholars in La UNA, and also we're excited that we have signed agreements where some of their students will come and they will take part in our doctoral and master's programs, as well as our faculty will continue their research in Paraguay. As I mentioned, the excellence of our faculty propels Rutgers Camden's forward momentum. If I try to give you the full listing of our faculty's many accomplishments, and I say this over and over, we will be here until tomorrow. For the sake of brevity, listed are some examples reflecting faculty excellence in arts and sciences, nursing, business, and in law. The strongest metric by which we measure success is how we help our students thrive and prepare them to achieve their goals. Our doctoral programs grow stronger every year. These students are conducting original research, publishing in top scholarly journals, and presenting their findings at conferences around the world. In our Childhood Studies PhD program, our students recently published 3 research articles and shared their insights with NPR, National Public Radio. I'd like to give special attention to Jude Misko of our class of 2020, who won the NCAA Division III national title in, yes, hammer throw. So we're very excited about that. There are a number of goals that we as a campus community want to achieve during the coming year. I'd like to conclude my presentation by sharing just a few of them that are on our list. We are in the thick of a national search for a new provost and executive vice chancellor for academic affairs to lead our academic enterprise. I'm excited for the opportunity to attract an academic leader to Rutgers Camden to help us advance our Carnegie R2 research status, to attract more funding for our students, one who is committed to our goal relative to civic engagement, and one who understands the importance of community. Rutgers also is searching for a dean to lead Rutgers Law at both of its locations, here in Camden as well as in Newark. This fall, Rutgers Camden is launching a formalized strategic planning process, one that will coincide with our 100th anniversary, for the 100th anniversary of the founding of our campus, which in 2026. Our process will be an inclusive and collaborative planning process where all constituents, faculties, staff, students, alumni, donors, and others will be actively engaged, as will members of the board of directors. Together, we will develop and then realize our common goals to achieve a shared vision of excellence for Rutgers Camden. So those are some of the accomplishments thus far and some thoughts on where we are headed this academic year. We've done an awful lot, yet we still have an awful lot to do. I wanted to share with you where my thinking is right now. I look forward to collaborating with all constituencies to bring these ideas and others to fruition. At all times, I welcome thoughts and support from you, the members of our board. Thank you for your attention, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my remarks, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Chancellor Tillers, thank you for that insightful report, and I commend your steadfast leadership. I think at this point in time, we will move forward with the open public comment. Again, thank you for hosting us today.
Thank you.
Open public comment. We have a member of the public who has signed up to speak on a specific agenda item and will be called upon to provide remarks. The speaker will be allotted 2 minutes for comment and must speak to the agenda item they signed up for. We have Professor Howie Serloff, Secretary of Rutgers Adjunct Union and Lecturer, Rutgers Writing Program at Rutgers University, New Brunswick. Are you present?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Howie Swerdloff, an adjunct at Rutgers, New Brunswick. I'm also secretary of the Adjunct Faculty Union. One of the roles I had before coming to Rutgers was auditor for the state level Malcolm Baldrige Quality Award. So I have some expertise in auditing. One of the criteria against which Baldrige audits organizations is leadership. We compare management's words to their deeds. Another is how the organization supports and engages its workforce. If Rutgers charged their auditors to assess your leadership, what would their findings be? How do the gross inequities at Camden reflect your professed values? How does the treatment of adjuncts reflect your professed values when they are paid half as much as full-time faculty for teaching exactly the same courses? Are these disparities consistent with your stated goal of promoting the common good? What would an audit say about how Rutgers leadership supports and engages its workforce when management has refused to bargain with us for over a month in an open and transparent way, while your vision advocates that, quote, we all have a role in sustaining our democracy? We urge the Board of Governors to support our call for equity for Camden and equal pay for equal work and health insurance for all of our faculty. I beg to differ, President Holloway. It really is not complicated. We estimate that it will cost in the neighborhood of $15 million to pay our adjuncts a living wage. Rutgers can afford it. In a budget that is close to $5 billion, that is a mere rounding error. This is a small price to pay to make President Holloway's stated vision of social justice, inclusion, and community more than just words. Last summer's joint faculty proposals for equal pay for equal work lay out a path forward. It's now time for Rutgers to walk the talk and show some real leadership by honoring this just principle. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for your comments regarding the charge to the Committee on Auditing. We will move forward. At this time, I would ask for committee reports on academic and student affairs. Mr. Piazza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Committee on Academic and Student Affairs met on September 8, 2021, in person and via Zoom. After welcoming members and brief introductions, the committee reviewed its charge and members did not have any questions or comments. Dr. Mogi reviewed the charge of the Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs, as well as his responsibilities within that role, and specifically cited faculty advancement and research impact, academic strength, and student success as the functional areas the EVPAA is concerned with. Dr. Kim O'Halloran, Vice President for Academic Planning and Administration, provided an update on academic planning. Dr. O'Halloran discussed regulations published by the Office of the Secretary of Higher Education in the New Jersey Register, and provided an overview of the approval process for academic programs at Rutgers and within the state. Dr. O'Halloran explained that the Office of Academic Affairs is collaborating with the Chancellor-led units on the creation of policies and processes for new program development and continuous improvement of existing academic programs at Rutgers. Dr. Mogi shared a slide with potential topics that he would like the committee to consider for future discussions during this year's meetings and asked the members to review the topics. The committee has since provided input and future presentations are being planned around the feedback. Dr. Mogi reviewed data for the 2021-2022 faculty appointments, promotions, reappointments to and within the tenure ranks. Dr. Mogi reviewed data for tenure rank faculty and pointed out that the Promotion Review Committee, PRC, reviewed 75 new cases of tenure and tenure track faculty appointments during the 2021-2022 academic year. Dr. Mogi then provided a report which detailed the appointments by school and Chancellor units, as well as demographic information based on rank, gender, and racial and ethnic groups, and shared an overview of those numbers. Dr. Mogi explained the difficulty in measuring the effects and impact of diversity hiring initiatives due to the large number of undeclared faculty, those who do not volunteer their demographic information. He reviewed possible reasons for this, as well as measures that could decrease the undeclared number. Dr. Mogi discussed University Policy 10.1.14 and faculty positions and explained that minor changes were made to the policy, including the addition of legacy professorships to the list of endowed faculty positions. The committee agreed to endorse the resolution for board approval, and it has placed on the consent agenda. The committee then met in executive session to discuss personnel matters, including academic appointments with tenure recommendations, academic promotions, and an award of tenure recommendations and academic promotions decano. The committee also considered the following appointment recommendations for endorsement for Board of Governors approval. Appointment of P. David Lopez as university professor. Appointment to the Gregory Q. Brown Chair in Cell Biology and Neuroscience, and appointment to the Duncan and Nancy McMillan Faculty Development Chair in the Life Sciences. The committee agreed to endorse these recommendations for board approval, and they have been placed on the consent agenda. Mr. Chairman, this concludes the report of the Committee on Academic and Student Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Piazza. At this time, I'll call on Mr. Banks to give a report on the Committee of Finance and Facilities. Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Committee on Finance and Facilities met on September 8th of this year. Members joined both in person as well as by Zoom. Under matters for action, Mr. Michael Gower, Executive Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, and University Treasurer, presented a proposed resolution for endorsement authorizing Rutgers to execute and deliver loan and escrow agreements pursuant to the New Jersey Environmental Infrastructure Trust Financing Program. Mr. Gower explained that by using this financing agreement, the rehabilitation of the Bush campus cogeneration plant approved in April of 2017, the New Jersey Environmental Infrastructure Bank would issue bonds under their AAA rating, and Rutgers would pay a portion of the debt service. This debt service has been anticipated and incorporated into Rutgers' debt portfolio, and the passage of this resolution would allow for completing the long-term financing of this project through the bank. The resolution may be found on the consent agenda. Mr. Gower presented a proposed resolution for endorsement associated with a sole source contract with Accurate Diagnostic Labs for COVID-19 testing with the University Correctional Healthcare. Mr. Gower explained that this would continue the contract that provides COVID-19 testing, and that all costs of the $3.5 million contract will be reimbursed by the state of New Jersey through its agreement with Rutgers. This resolution may also be found on the consent agenda. Under matters for information, Mr. Tony Calcado, Executive Vice President, Chief Operating Officer, provided the committee with an update on several university operational activities that included, number one, the health and safety protocols regarding COVID testing, two, an update on student housing and its current occupancy levels, three, activities and discussions regarding public safety, and four, updates on the capital funding provided by the state of New Jersey and the opportunities it presents to the university in the overall context of the university's master plan. Mr. Calcado reported that the university was extremely grateful to the governor and the legislature for their inclusion of a $300 million allocation for capital needs at the university in the fiscal year 23 state budget. This is the single largest allocation of this type in the history of the university. He explained that $60 million would go towards the New Jersey Innovation and Technology Hub, $200 million to the new translational research laboratories and the new home for the Robert Wood Johnson Medical School at the Rutgers Health Complex in downtown New Brunswick, and $40 million to be allocated toward fitting out the Life Sciences 2 research labs in Newark and the Cooper Street Gateway project right in Camden. Mr. Gower provided a preliminary review of the fiscal year 2022 financials with a review of the overall revenues and expenses. He shared with the committee that the numbers were not final, however, would be finalized over the next 4 to 6 weeks and provided at the committee's next scheduled meeting. Mr. Gower continued his presentation by providing a detailed review of the insurance programs, as well as discussing the challenges that the university may face as it continues these programs. And finally, Mr. Gower then introduced Ms. Vivian Fernandez, Senior Vice President for Human Resources and Organizational Effectiveness, to present an update on the future of work recommendations. Ms. Fernandez explained the need to identify the university's most immediate and critical business and service needs while thoughtfully creating a workforce return framework that is clear, equitable, and mission-focused. Ms. Fernandez concluded her presentation with a list of the next steps that will take place over the next year as the university fully implements the recommendations from the Future of Work Task Force report. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. At this time, I'd like to call on Ms. Teller to give us a report on the Committee of Audit.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Committee on Audit met on Thursday, October 6th, 2022, both in person and via Zoom from 9 a.m. to approximately 12 p.m. Chairperson, Ms. Heather Taylor, reviewed the charge to the Board of Governors charge to the Committee on Audit. Modifications proposed were updates to titles and departmental names. The amended charge to the Committee on Audit has been placed on the consent agenda. Mr. J. Michael Gower, Executive Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, and University Treasurer, and Ms. Christina Dolce, University Controller, provided an update on the university's fiscal year 23 financial statement audit. KPMG began their work in June 2022 and will continue until completion on the financial statements. There have been no findings or topics to discuss to date. Ms. Rachel Honig, VP and Chief University Compliance Officer, provided an overview of the 3 main university ethics and compliance initiatives: consolidation of university investigative functions, university policy management, and creating an annual process for university enterprise risk management. Mr. Eugene Seinman, Associate Vice President and Deputy Chief Enterprise Risk Management, Ethics, and Compliance Officer, provided a status update on the university's privacy program, current compliance training efforts, and discussed identifying compliance risks. Ms. Erin Egan, Director of Audit and Advisory Services and Interim Chief Audit Executive, provided a status update on the 2022 audit plan and provided highlights from recently completed reviews and the implementation status of recommendations for past audits. The committee then met in private executive session with Mr. Gower, Mr. John J. Hoffman, Ms. Honig, and Mr. Simon. Mr. Chair, this concludes my report on the Committee on Audit.
Thank you, Ms. Teller. At this time, I'd like to call on Dr. Doherty to give us a report on the Committee on Health Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee on Health Affairs met on September 13th, 2022 in person and via Zoom. First agenda item was the University Behavioral Healthcare Minutes and Staff Appointments. Mr. Carl O'Brien, Chief Financial Officer at UBHC, cited 3 matters that required the committee's endorsement to move forward for Board of Governors approval. 1, minutes of the University Behavioral Healthcare Leadership Committee meetings of March 23rd and May 17th, 2022. 2, University Behavioral Healthcare staff appointments, reappointments, and clinical privileges of May 17th and July 19th, 2022. And 3, University Behavioral Healthcare's quality improvement reports for the 4th quarter of 2021 and the 1st quarter of 2022. These 3 matters were endorsed by the committee and will be moved under the consent agenda. Next is the University Behavioral Healthcare update. Mr. O'Brien provided a UBHC update where he discussed UBHC's recent licensure for its involuntary unit at the Piscataway location, pending licensures for the expansion of emergency intervention services into Hunterdon and Somerset counties, and the submission of licensure applications for an addiction center in Plainfield. Mr. O'Brien informed the committee that UBHC is working closely with RWJ Barnabas Health on specialty reach programs and quality improvement program initiatives related to Medicaid at its facilities. Mr. O'Brien concluded with a review of staffing issues and resulting budgetary implications related to state and federal grants. Next was the Rutgers Health Update. Dr. Vicente Gracias, Senior Vice Chancellor for Clinical Affairs and Vice President for Health Affairs, updated the Committee on Rutgers Health. Dr. Gracias reviewed Rutgers' response to monkeypox and explained how the virus is transmitted. He also reviewed the resources available for student isolation if necessary, and the virtual seminar, Monkeypox, a conversation with scientists, clinicians, and community leaders, led by Dr. Perry Halkitis, Dean of the Rutgers School of Public Health. Dr. Gracias then detailed the Rutgers Health Service Corps, a new initiative with a vision to become a center of interprofessional excellence that will develop compassionate, socially conscious leaders who are committed to public population health. Dr. Gracias also updated the committee on the Vanderbilt Patient Advocacy Reporting System and Co-workers Observation Reporting System program, which instills professionalism and respect while creating an environment that does not tolerate disrespectful and harmful behavior. Dr. Gracias concluded by discussing the proposals that would expand interprofessional health education in New Jersey and highlighted key performance indicators. Next was the Chancellor's report. Dr. Brian Strom, Chancellor for Rutgers Biomedical and Health Sciences, RBHS, and Executive Vice President for Health Affairs, stated his goal as Chancellor and reviewed RBHS statistics at a glance. He then reviewed recent appointments and ongoing searches. Next, Chancellor Strom provided the committee with a snapshot of the 2 medical schools entering classes of 2026, highlighting diversity among these students, and reviewed the average indebtedness of 2021 Rutgers Medical School graduates. Chancellor Strom then updated the committee on current capital planning and construction initiatives involving RBHS and its partners, and detailed plans for renovations to the Medical Sciences Building that would replace and upgrade the building infrastructure. Finally, Chancellor Strom discussed RBHS points of pride from 2013 to 2022. Next, the financial update. Ms. Kathleen Bramwell, Senior Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration, provided an update on the RBHS financial performance overall and by unit, and reviewed significant sources of revenue and expense. Finally, the RU COVID response. Dr. Gracias again presented to the committee and provided a summary of Rutgers' COVID response. He noted that New Jersey was one of the first states to be hit by COVID-19 and is the most densely populated state with one of the most diverse and global populations. He reviewed New Jersey's organizational complexity with facilities across 17 counties and highlighted the establishment of the Rutgers Health Council. He added that Rutgers' achievements during the COVID pandemic earned national and global recognition, and that Rutgers and Rutgers Health's 13,000 healthcare professionals made essential contributions throughout one of the most historically complex challenges the state and nation have faced. Next, Dr. Gracias reviewed early response efforts, which allowed for the creation of operations plans for management during the pandemic, and pointed to Rutgers' excellent communication, which helped stem fear, quell confusion, and allowed Rutgers to work as one community. He also highlighted notable initiatives and accomplishments, including the RU 3D PPE project, which produced face shields and intubation boxes for ventilators, and the development of vaccines and treatments, including the breakthrough in describing the protein structure of the SARS-CoV-2 virus and making that available to the world, as well as developing the first saliva test to detect the virus. Dr. Gracias also explained that the Robert Wood Johnson Medical School site for Johnson & Johnson's vaccination trial was the second largest recruiter in the world, which helped facilitate the FDA's approval of the vaccine for public use. Dr. Gracias reviewed Rutgers' communication and education efforts during the pandemic and other contributions the university made in benefit of the state. Mr. Chair, that's the conclusion of my report.
Thank you, Dr. Doherty. I'll call on Mr. Tambusi to move the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are there any items that any member of the board would like to remove from the consent agenda? Hearing none. Upon recommendation of the Executive Committee, Committee on Academic and Student Affairs, the Committee on Finance and Facilities, and the Committee on Health Affairs, I move that the board approve the items contained in the consent agenda.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposes?
One abstention.
One abstention. Let it so noted. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call on our Executive Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Gower, for your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm reporting on the meeting on October 3rd of the Joint Committee on Investments. The committee chair and Chief Investment Officer Jason McDonald reviewed the upcoming calendar and responsibility for committee members for FY23 with the committee. Following that, Chief Investment Officer McDonald gave an overview of the endowment, its functions, and its evolution over the past 6 years since the institution of the investment office. He then discussed preliminary fiscal year-end values, performance, and current market environment. The long-term investment pool as of June 30th, 2022, for 1, 3, and 5-year periods respectively, lost 9.6% last year, gained 7.1% over a 3-year period, and gained 7.1% average over a 5-year period. Mr. McDonald then discussed more recent performance given the recent market turbulence and reviewed notable occurrences in the portfolio and updates to existing directives. He then reviewed with the committee and got endorsement for one investment in a hedge diversifying strategies, $30 million, and redemption of a global real estate fund. He also then gave an overview of expected activity for fiscal 23, detailing several examples of areas of opportunity. Finally, representatives of Fund Evaluation Group, our investment advisor, provided an overview of their firm as well as an update on current industry trends. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Gower. At this time, I'd like to call on Dr. Simon for the University Senate report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is my privilege, great start, as the 2022-23 Senate Chair to provide my first report to the Board of Governors. Over the past 4 weeks, I've had the opportunity to get to know many of you through our shared committee work. I've also had the pleasure to work collaboratively with the President and his cabinet, and I have the utmost respect and appreciation for the collegial tone, transparency, and mission focus that is necessary in our shared work ahead. I look forward to continued collaboration with both the board and the university administration to improve the climate, sense of community, and workers' experience for all. In March of last year, we welcomed Dr. Vicki Hewitt to the role of Executive Secretary of the Senate. Lucille Foster, Assistant Dean at Rutgers Business School in Newark, was elected Vice Chair and Parliamentarian for this coming year. John Oliver, Assistant Dean for Informational Technology at Rutgers Sci in New Brunswick, will continue in an ex officio role for this academic year. I'd like to thank Vicki, Lucy, John, and the Senate Executive Committee for their collective guidance and ongoing commitment to the Rutgers Senate. I am pleased to report that for the first time in Rutgers Senate history, which is a whole 72 years, Senate leadership is comprised of all women. The first Senate meeting of the 2022-23 academic year was held on September 23rd in a hybrid format. President Holloway provided his State of the University report, as he mentioned earlier. The Senate also passed a resolution on labor relations calling for the university administration and the collective bargaining units to work as quickly and collegially as possible to reach new collective bargaining agreements that best serve the interests of the entire academic community and reflect the principles and values previously endorsed by the University Senate. Lastly, in addition to pending charges, the Senate is diligently working on several important issues in shared governance via ad hoc committees on academic freedom and free speech, Senate bylaws, and the effectiveness of the GRE and its impact on graduate programs at Rutgers. On October 21st, the Senate will welcome Dr. Eduardo Molina, Rutgers Vice President for Institutional Research and Decision Support, who will provide a presentation on best practices in survey design to contribute this valuable expertise to the Senate as it constructs its surveys to the university community. That concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Simon, and welcome again. I've had the opportunity to work with you on and serve with you on the audit committee, so I look forward to working with you in the months ahead. At this time, is there any old business? Is there any new business to bring before? Hearing none, before we wrap up, I will defer to President Holloway. Any final comments or remarks?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, President Holloway. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.